All right, you guys. Welcome to the Pain Point Podcast. Sorry about that. We have had quite a few issues with things that want to pop up and share. Welcome to the world of tech. It's good to have you back here. We've got a great guest, and it's just like, hey, what is going on in this goofy world? And I know everything's popping up, everything's going crazy. It's the tech is taking over the world. Here we go, right? Welcome. The age. It is the way that things are going, and it's constant updates. And we were just talking about that behind the scenes of the way that things are going and the changes that are happening and how we react to it. But welcome to the Pain Point Podcast. It is, I'm Nicole Borghi. And I'm here to share with you a few insights and some entertainment, right? We have to laugh at life and we have to love life. And how do we do that? We want to keep that big and we don't want to play small. So we're going to share some snippets here today and provide a little bit of insightful commentary, adding a little bit of a touch of humor, but giving some valuable lessons. And I believe that if you're in a more happier place, you're in a more comfortable zone, things are apt to do and go well in your life and you're able to enjoy it much more that way. Our We're going to talk about it next week, but our sales um, for confronting domestic violence, trying to read too many things at the same time, folks. Hey, here, have ended. So we're going to find out how that went, and I'll report that back to you. And we will share more of that and support because it's the holiday and it's giving time for people, and people love to donate. And hey, guess what? It's a tax write-off. So what a way to write that tax off, whether you're in the mood to spend or be the Grinch or enjoy your holiday or not spend any time on the holiday. There's all kinds of reasons right now to support and go out and get some gifts. And I had a great guest today here, a good friend of mine here that we've been talking, and we have been on some stages a few times. I've had her on the podcast before, and I wanted to bring her back because she's got some great insights. So, welcome back to the Pain Point Podcast, Karen. How are you?
Oh, thank you, Nicole. I'm great. I'm super excited to be here and dive into our conversation that we're going to enlighten your guests with.
Yeah, it's going to be a bit of a game changer. We're talking about a little soul-led leadership. So if you would tell people a little bit about you, then that way they can kind of get to know you more when they go to your website and want to research you. They'll know more of those juicy details from the conversation as well.
So thank you so much. I came from a domestic violence myself, but it's stepping into not doing that anymore. And my life has transformed over the last, I don't know how many years, 180 degrees, 360 degrees. So today I'm a mental fitness and peak performance coach, and I truly believe in the power of how our thoughts, how our thoughts create those emotions in our body as well as the actions that we do. And sometimes so many of those thoughts are fear-based. And so I'm just really excited to see people transform their lives and create a happier life, a joyful life, stepping out of those learned behaviors that we learned as a child. And it's just very empowering. And so I'm excited to share with you today, Nicole, and be share with your guests as well. So thank you so much. Oh, I even forgot to say that I'm an ultra distance athlete.
Yeah, talk about that. It's all about self-leadership. I'm over here fixing my light. So go ahead and talk about that because it's very important in leadership what you do on a personal level. So
Yeah,
let's talk
so
about those successes.
well, the I want to back that up a little bit with people are not living into their potential. People do not live in their potential, and that's, our energy, our saboteurs, and whatnot. And I say that because who would have ever known that I'd be where I'm at physically in my physical life? So today I ran, I don't know, 4,800 mile runs. I'm looking to run a 250-mile run. To do that, though, takes a strong mindset. It's about perseverance. It's about resilience. It's about stepping into what really lights up my heart. And I am fascinated with how far I can go, how long I can go, and just the adventure of it and the people I meet. So today I've done, like I said, 48 100-mile runs. I'm going to shoot for 100 mile runs over the next number of years, maybe before I turn 100. Also, I've done like 15 Ironman. I've been to Kona, and I started all this off with riding my bike, and I've ridden hundreds of thousands of miles on my bike. And part of that was doing a brevet series, which I've done three 1200 Ks, and that's 768 miles events. And so it's just, I love the adventure. I love being out in the world and being connected with nature, especially. So yeah, I know, like I said, who would have known I would have been doing this stuff? I
So
would never
you
have
didn't
guessed
you didn't
it.
start young as an
No.
athlete like in school and your parents weren't driving you over there to play soccer after school or run or do anything. This was a life-changing moment for you later in life.
Yep.
In success. How did you find this to really drive out that focus? I think, a lot of it sometimes is, oh, you're going to hit that age and maybe it's old, you're getting old, you're getting up in age. But if you don't take care of yourself, you're totally
Hmm.
going to feel that. You could
Right.
feel that at a younger age. I mean, I was sick in bed and pretty much raised in a hospital until I never walk again. I got two legs, and so people are like, "Why are you walking all the time?" Because I can. you know, um,
Right.
I get to go by the lake. I get to walk. I get to go hiking. It's ju rejuvenating, but it's also relieving and of the mindset. And it's a great way to connect with nature and just kind of decompress and relax and get out of all the tech that we're in. So, what made you change and kind of really flip into that and say, "Hey, I'm gonna do something different."
That's a great question and a great memory for me. So, my mom passed away from Lou Gehrig's disease, and my brothers and I did an MS-50 one. It was MS-150 ride. MS also donated and supported because this is the same along as MS, ALS, those diseases. Anyway, we did an MS-150 ride. This ride went from Phoenix to Parker. It was a 2-day event. It was 150 miles. My son and I, my son was 12 at the time, and I did it with my brother, my two brothers, and then his cousin. And it was the most exciting thing I'd ever done. So my son and I trained for it, got him a bike, and we did it. And when I finished that, I'm like, I can do this. And so the kids and I moved back to California, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a 100-mile bike ride. And so the Davis Bike Club puts on a Foxy Fall in October, and I did my very first 100-mile bike ride, and it was exhilarating. I didn't do it with anybody, but I was inspired by others to do it, and then that led to meeting people and being inspired by more. Like I said, I got into the brevets, which is a French-based style of riding, and did three 1200 Ks. And then that was the first time I did a marathon. It's like, okay, now let's see if I can run a marathon. A girlfriend and I was like, the first mile was like, oh, this sucks. I want my bike. But we did it. And then that led to another thing. And someone said, well, you could do a 50K. And then someone said, well, let's do a 50 miler. And then someone said, hey, you could do a 100 miler. They looked me up and I did all these thousands of miles on my bike. Well, running is a lot different. And I did my first 50 miles when I was 53,
Wow.
or my first 100 mile when I was 53. So, no, I didn't start when I was a kid. I was raised to be in the house, a mom, ironing, cleaning house, making dinners, have kids. That was the old mindset of my mother. But my heart, as a kid, I used to take off and go. Our house was in Covina, and behind us was hills. And I would just leave home and go up, explore the hills. So I had this sense of adventure
Yeah.
that got hidden over the years. And then now it's back. We tap into, actually, it's tapping back into our inner soul, our inner happy spot, which we had as a child. And
Right.
my childhood essence is adventure.
Yeah. Yeah, an adventure person, and we were just talking about that the full moon right now is in what,
Mm,
Gemini.
yeah.
I'm Sagittarius, so I'm fire. So it's like adventure. Woo, gotta go, gotta go, gotta go. All the time I have that sense of moving, and it's like an Irish thing. I'm just gonna get up and walk off, and go be adventurous. Hey, conversation's over. Maybe this is boring. This life is boring. It's time to go do something a little bit more exciting, something different. I've had that stage in life, but now I know that I've got to complete certain things so I don't go into them. That's a whole nother different conversation. But let's talk about those benefits of you have this soul-led leadership and this change in life that happened for you and your family, and what a way to celebrate your mother, celebrate your life, and what an honor to be able to, a blessing to give that back, to your son. And that's, moving forward, it's a legacy, it's a culture now that you're developing around you and people. How did that change into your business, and then we can get into this even cool positive intelligence. We can talk about that as well as that change. How did that change for you? And to, because you said, hey, you were meant to, be home, be with a family, but now you're out, you're exploring, you're being adventurous. How did that change into a business model for you?
That's a great question. So, um, we all have an inner wisdom, and tapping into that inner wisdom takes work, takes a journey. And I stepped into that journey because at that point, my kids had grown up. I raised them. I had three children, raised them as a single mom. And when they left, it's like, what am I doing this for? And that's when I stepped into coaching. That's where I grew the most. And so the first thing the school I went through has a particular assessment that works on our energy. And that's where I discovered we are not stepping into our potential. And so this journey kept taking me down this path of working with people and discovering even for myself. So when I coach, I learn too and I grow, but I help my clients grow as well. And then that journey turned me into the mental fitness side with positive intelligence. So the discipline I have in my life has shown in the discipline I have for my training and how I manage that with my business. And so, what this 100-mile journeys have taught me is my inner self, because people discover a lot about themselves when they get out of their comfort zone. And boy, was I out of my comfort zone doing my first 100-mile run because I swore I'd never do another one. That was ridiculous. But we were inspired. That inspired me. We all have this essence in ourselves that inspires each of us to step into our potential. And so this inspired me to step into more of what I can do in life for me, and the resilience in my body and the recovery and the mindset that puts us out. And I have an amazing story in 2017 running the Western States, and it's all about mindset. Now, as a as an athlete, we have the same mindset as a leader. It's about resilience. It's about perseverance. It's about being successful. And so, but what holds us back is our mindset. And I know that I've been out in the Western States is a 100-mile run in the canyons here in Auburn, California. Goes from Tahoe to back to Auburn. But I pass so many people, their inner critic going, what was I thinking? I wasn't supposed to be out here. But they did it. They didn't finish because their mindset stopped them from finishing. Same with a leader. I can't apply for that job. I'm not good enough. I don't have the skills. It's constant, constant, constant chatter that keeps you back from being your top potential in life.
Truly, it truly does. And you're looking at these sabotagers and into the what happens. And I was telling you this morning what mine were, what came back, because you could take this assessment for free, guys, and it shares with you your top saboteurs. So but there's a good and a bad. So there's a yin and a yang. You need to know what's bad so you can fix it. right? We
Right.
don't need to heal it. We don't need to cut it off. We don't need to cut the cord to that necessarily. You need to cut the cord to the actions and the reactions, the bad stuff that happened in your life, and just let it go. But moving forward, if you understand the adaptation and then taking discernment and detaching, what is good about that, right? Like mine, I'll just say, and then if you would talk about yours, mine is I have zero victim mentality. I have zero avoider. I get right to the stuff. Like it's a zero, nada, anything. So if anybody calls me a people pleaser, no. I want to make sure that you have a good experience. I want to be kind, but I'm not going to go out of my way to be a doormat for you. I will take
Mm.
care. I used to be a caregiver, so I do have the love and the need to help people. But I want them to be better, and that's why I got into nutrition and health and exercise. But also, I'm hyper vigilant and realizing and rational. And in that is a watcher watching. So if you're looking at it from an intuitive perspective or a psychic perspective, an energy perspective, I want to know what's coming. And if I avoid that and if I take go deep into avoidance, I won't pay attention to the blessings and the good things that are coming, and I won't know how to get away from the bad stuff and pivot in my life and move away from that kind of step out of the way when the car is coming kind of reaction, right? I just, that is me. If you avoid it, then you're standing in the way while the car is coming towards you, and you don't want to freeze in that. So it's understanding what's coming in your life, why it's coming, and how to do better and be better. It's also good in business because you want to watch statistics and data, and is this change important? Do I need to know about this? How much is this algorithm, and how much is the competition going to affect my business? You want to watch for that. You don't want to be obsessive with it all the time, but you want to understand some point of the research. Some people are super like right into the logical data 100%. You got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. You can't be perfect because somebody's going to come with a different viral video and it's going to change the algorithm. Maybe YouTube is going to change the way that they add, like they just did recently, was all these people with AI videos making money, and YouTube's like, wait, let's go back to the human creator. So they're pushing more videos of the human creator, less AI. They're going to demonetize certain channels that are 100% AI. You got to have some human influence. Doesn't matter whether it's pre-recorded or live. They want some human influence. They're also pushing more live. They're also pushing so simple things we can do to generate income, to get out of there, and to that algorithm is good. So when you're looking at your saboteurs, let's talk about knowing that and how that's changed your life and your business, understanding more of that.
Thanks for sharing that. That was just really empowering, Nicole. It's true. So, in our toxic relationships, that's where our saboteurs show up. In leadership, our saboteurs show up because we want to control the environment because our job's based on it or our job is reflected on it. And so everybody has to do it my way. In in my life, so these saboteurs are created when we're kids. And a child wants one thing to do, and that's be loved. And when we're not, we create scenarios in our life to feel love, connected, and whatnot. And I created my stickler. I created that essence of feeling happy in my room, having it perfect, and everything was fine, and blah, blah, blah. So the stickler is about perfection. It's about having everything right and and making it the right way. But what happens is that one, in relationships, we can start complaining, we can start yelling at somebody else because they didn't do it the right way, according to me. And it's all fear-based thoughts. And when I discovered that, how it's really hurting my relationships, and I shut my mouth instead of having all those words come out, I could feel the energy in my brain. And I'm like, holy cow, because the energy, the words, the negative stuff we put out is in our body, and we don't even know it until we shut our mouth. And then I realized that the stickler actually has a benefit. And that benefit is keeping everything clean. Clean is good, and clutter free. When we have clutter in our house, when we have clutter in our desk, when we have clutter in our office, it clutters our energy as well. And it's not free flowing. So it reflects our inner being. So the stickler, how it impacted my business is that I never put content out there because it wasn't perfect. I needed to have it right. I needed it perfect. It was never good enough. And so I waited a long time to put anything out there until I realized just put it out there, just do it. And it's amazing how much comes back because that's actually the authentic me of who I am. And so it's such a benefit to understand how we react in life in our fear-based thoughts because it's an automatic way of being and we don't even know it. So awareness of what that thought is, awareness of what that feeling is. And so I put out a video yesterday on paying attention to the energy in your body. Because how do we do that? We're tense in our shoulders, we're tense in our jaw, we have uneasiness in our belly, but we got to get it done. We don't. And so when we can step into the sage, the wisdom, the intuition in our heart, get out of our head and be in our heart, flow happens. And so I invite everybody to pay attention to the energy in the body because we can recognize that more quicker than we can really recognize the thoughts that are in our head.
Truly, truly. And it's looking at that sage, that wisdom
Hmm.
of and we've lost some of that. It's our inner ego that we've allowed to take over and not having the elders in our life anymore, not having the mentors, doing away with, hey, it's all about the millennials and we just so lost track with that. And it was just all about the kids and what's coming up. Yes, that's important. The next generation, you want to see that. However, if you don't see that there's a wisdom, there's a history that we wiped out. That's a whole nother conversation too, is wiping out your history and not learning from your history and knowing that there's a 7 year cycle, there's a 20-year cycle. That's why they had the movie, I think it was was it Marilyn Monroe, The 7 Year Itch? Anyway, it's about that seventh year, and the 7 year has to pertains to a financial cycle as well. So if you go deep into financial cycles, if you go into soul-led cycles, you see that there's a change in our life. There's a 24-hour, 48-hour, 72 cycle, about a 27 to a 30-day cycle. And that has to, with the moon and everything too. And there are cycles in our life, and we need to learn from that wisely and say, hey, let's not do that again. But if and some of that is in coaching. I find that it was, and that's why I'm more into the consulting and into the tech is it was hard for me personally to watch people just sabotaging their life with all the tools that they had. No matter if I came in with a bulldozer and broke down the wall for them, or if I came in with a digger and scooped up the dirt and said, hey, I'm going to help you fix this. You start fresh, and now you have to go. I had to learn to honor that those people didn't want to change.
Right.
They were like pigs in mud. I had to learn that, hey, that's what they wanted. And coming from a law enforcement security background, I was okay in the chaos and I was okay to pick people up and help them on, give them a little first aid. And so I looked at coaching the same way. I wasn't trying to rescue people. But if people come to you, and I think it's good to know as a coach, a consultant, as a business owner to say, hey, maybe you're not ready for this right now. And that's okay to say, and it's going to save you a lot. You may get a fat check in the beginning, but it's going to save you a lot in the long run and a big fat headache as a business owner to say, you know what? I don't think you're ready for this program right now because you're saboteurs and you don't have, that's you don't want to go, hey, you're saboteurs, you're having a really crappy life. Just say, hey, I want to honor where you're at. I don't feel we're a match. Then there's kind ways to say it and say, hey, I just don't feel that we're a match right now in our business, and honor them where they're at because you can't try, and that's a people pleaser thing too. And is to say, hey, I want to fix this person, but we can't.
Right.
and that's okay. What you can do is provide solutions, and that's where this podcast came up. Was I want to help people and assist them with solutions to their business pain points. And part of the solution is at a soul-led level because your business reflects your personal life.
Yep.
And that's part of the positive intelligence is there is a positive thing in understanding and embracing the anger, the sadness, and that bad part and not sugarcoating it. That doesn't mean everything's happy at all times. Sometimes we're just content and it's okay, but we do have to address the anger. But how has this understanding these saboteurs helped you realize in your relationship to others in business to say, hey, here's where I can help you, and here's where we can pivot, and here's where you can have a conversation because I think it helps, the coach or the consultant really pinpoint sometimes the love languages of the clients.
Hmm.
How has
I
that
love,
helped you?
yeah, what I want to share here is that we all are on our own journey. I can be of this age, where I am today and go back and regret and how could I have waited so long, blah, blah, blah. But whatever it is, our soul is on a particular journey and we are always in the right place at the right time. And so I love the fact that it's like we cannot fix people. That's what I was doing in relationships. I was going to fix them because I knew the right way, my way. But that's not right. And so honoring where our clients are, honoring the people where they are in their own life journey is magical because it gives them the space to be themselves and decide when their time is right. And so it's today, especially, and just with everything, it's like stepping into your inner wisdom and not being influenced by all the stress that's going on in this world today. Get out of the head and get into your heart. And it changes. So I was doing another thing I want to talk about too is the stress. When we sit in stress, we're exhausted by the end of the day. It wastes so much energy, and we got less done if we sat in our wisdom, if we sat in our state, sage perspective, our sage powers, that empathize, that curiosity, that innovated mindset or the innovated heart. But you waste 83% of your time being stressed out. And before I even got into this, I used to ride my bike back and forth to work. And so I remember leaving work just exhausted. But when I got on my bike, I felt better when I got home because I was doing
Oh
that. But
yeah.
so many people are exhausted at the end of the day. They go home, they may take a glass of wine, they may drink, whatever it is to relieve that tension, but they're not addressing the saboteurs that are in. So when you step into the peace and calm and flow of sage and your inner wisdom, you have more time in your day and you're going to feel better. I know that for even my relationship with my husband, it's gone from me having my saboteurs show up to just being in that inner sage. And we've, we've been past that 7 year itch. We're into
Mm,
16 years right now. And it's like, oh my
congrats.
gosh, we just started. It's a new thing every single day. And that's a great feeling. But that's because I changed. That's because I changed me. And when I change me, my world out there changes and it's more peace and calm. More is attracted to me as well, as opposed to my saboteurs showing up and pushing people away. So,
Right. And that's so true because when you're, you know, I for many years, don't judge me. I don't want to be criticized. Well, judging is discernment. It's very deep. You want to judge what's good and what's bad so you know how to change and pivot and you understand and you're able to see the cycles of your life along with the cycles of life and discern where does this fit? Or
hmm,
maybe judge that you're in a bad situation and you need to get out.
right.
Sometimes that's important. This is not good. Yeah, there's bad judgments and there's a lot of people out there. So what? There's people out there that are partners in pain and they're going to sabotage your life because they want pain or they'll take your story. Oh my gosh. If if you're in a moment of vulnerability and people kidnap your story at a soul level and start telling, not only talking about you at a gossip level, but stealing your story is stealing your essence. And there's many people I have seen is in the coaching business. And I say this because these are lessons I've learned. And I know we've had these conversations. Is that, with Tony Robbins, or they've taken other people's stories and try to start telling them as their own. And as I started to host stages and bring stages, whether it's in virtual reality or on Zoom or live events, people take other people's stories and the essence and the beauty of the story is gone. If you're going to tell someone else's joke or tell someone else's story, at least come up like an actor or an actress and present it in that tonality that it was told. And it just seems so lifeless. And then there's no longer unique, but you've almost kidnapped that essence and you need to give it, it's like a vampire sucker. You need to give that energy back to a person. If you're talking about a person, it should be positive. Hey, I saw this thing go on. I saw this story or I heard this story. It made me feel this way, or it made me just chuckle and laugh, and oh my gosh, how funny that is. And those are the things that move us forward. It's the way, it's the context that we take it in. And that what it shows and presents itself as is that that person doesn't have enough beauty and wonder and drama in a good sense, because our life should be drama. It shouldn't be a rom-com where it's perfect all the time. It never works out that way. And it's not a fun story to tell. You need to have drama and fun and success and a hero and a villain, and it all mixes well, and it's fun because that's how we live our life. And when you do that, it's more passion. And it just seems to me that maybe these people just don't enjoy their life as much as they say and putting that forward. And that has a lot to do with, I think, a fake it till you make it,
Hmm.
right? And that is a saboteur. Fake it till you make it. It was originally intended to say, hey, like if you're exercising, you want to see that goal. You want to feel strong. You want to look good. Maybe you're putting on a new sweatsuit or a new pair of shorts, or you got a new camel pack or something for your exercise, a new piece of equipment, or you're going to a different gym, or you're running on a different hill. That's the kind of fake it till you make it. It's new. I want to try it. I'm not perfect. I can't succeed at the 100-mile mark. Maybe I can get to one. That's it was designed, that term was designed to get us to move forward. But now it's it's fake it till you make it has changed because of social media, and it's fake all the time. And so there's no reality to it. So there's no way to measure someone's success but on social media. But coming forward and saying, hey, how do we change successfully in our business as we lead? I think as a mentor, how has that changed your perspective as well in business and working with people, that people want to work with you? Because if you lead from within, you lead from without. And they see that as a success, which it is, and should be honored in that way. But when you're moving forward and you're in business, I think that's when you enter the room. There's something that just an energy that enters before you and says, hey, here's Karen. She showed up for herself. She showed up for me. She's here. And just that alone is supportive, where people say, yeah, I want to work with that person. What does that look like now on your journey when someone's working with you?
So you started off with talking about judgment. And no matter what we judge, but, or and, there's nothing good or bad about it. There's absolutely nothing good or bad about that. And on I have an energy assessment on that. It asks a few questions on judgment, and people are so like, oh, I don't judge. Yes, we do. Right there, we're judging. We're judging that we're not judging. And so energy is energy, and it's neither good or bad. And if we label it as good or bad, we stay stuck. And so the work I've done on me is I show up as my very authentic self. And the word of perfection is nothing is perfect, but everything is perfect. We are who we are, and honoring that and being in love with yourself and honoring where you're at in life is powerful. Honoring the cuteness, the funness, the laziness, the procrastination part, anything. It's honoring just who you authentically are. We're never, I love the what you brought in about using other people's stories. We have our own stories. And we have people in our lives that create those stories in our life. And honoring the fact that you have beautiful stories. You have a beautiful heart. You have a beautiful story inside of yourself. Let's shine that. And I was very hush hush about my story because I didn't want anybody to know until I learned who cares. Because when I can say my story, when I can tell my story, when I can share my story, that's when I touch people's hearts and wake them up to share their story. And when I heard someone else's story, that inspired me to share my story because it's really not that bad. It was probably be not a very fun life if I stayed there in that situation. But it was that catalyst that turned me into where I am today. And it's the inspiration of other people in my life that has inspired me. And that's the same thing I do for other people. Before I left my job and retired into this life, moved into this next transition of my life, the whole office was running. And so it's how do you show up in yourself to be inspiring for somebody else to show up from themselves? And that's what I give my clients is that inspiration for them to be inspired by who they are.
100%. 100%. Well said. I mean, yeah, how are you inspiring people with your own story?
Yeah.
Because we all have a definitely the story to tell. And we can and it's how you tell the story. Don't just think that it's going to just show up one day and just be the greatest story ever unless you work on telling the story. It's the engaging way you tell your story. There's a rhythm, there's a cadence to telling your story, and you gotta check the crowd. It's like a comedian on the stage. Does this get a laugh? Does it get a oh, or does it make people cry? You want to, how is that enriching to people, to others around you? And are you getting the reaction you're looking for? And that means check that out. Do the work with it. That's that's how that's supposed to happen. Is it takes time. And it's almost like, hey, let's not steal people's soul. Let's not steal their essence, and people will show up. There is a time and a place where others ask, and that someone else tell their story, because there's some people that are just fantastic storytellers, and you would rather have somebody else tell the story or interview you on a podcast or a stage or something, because they have a different experience and a way to bring that story out of you. And that's okay if you choose that. And sometimes if people want, and it's like a victimhood when you go back to saboteurs. In victimhood, if somebody is stealing your story, they are victimizing you and telling you that it is not okay for you to utilize the throat chakra, and it is not okay for you to tell your own story. And that's a scary, scary thing. And that's a line that shouldn't be crossed. If you have not given the person the blessing to tell their story, then they are taking over your life and they are controlling your life. And it happens in domestic violence situations. It happens in workspaces because your boss doesn't want you to be you. Your boss wants to take it and be the one to shine and make it look good. There's always that person in the background we just have to watch out for. And it happens in relationships, it happens in business, and it's happening in life. And so when we look at that from that kind of perspective, like an energy vampire, somebody's taking control over you, and it happens a lot in women's groups. I'm just going to say it. It does happen in a lot of women's groups where they need to have that control, and they will tell people stories and tell people when to talk and not to talk. Happens in men's groups too. It happens in many, many groups, but I see a lot of change. And so that is a positive thing where people are starting to step up and say, hey, I'm going to take my life back. I'm ready to step into it. And it's up to you as a person to lead from within and say, hey, I'm ready to take my life back. Thanks for sharing that. I'm glad that got out in the open. Now I'm ready to tell my story my way and to know when you don't have to tell it all the time. There are times and places and say, hey, it's okay for me not to talk about this, not because it's sad, not because, I don't want it to come out. Maybe it's a privacy issue. Maybe it's just not where I'm at right at this moment, and that's okay to say that. And so that's when you're on a podcast or you're pitching to be a speaker on a summit or anything, it is okay to find out the parameters, what questions are good, what questions are bad, where do you not want to go. And I let people know, hey, it's okay. We're going to go within these parameters. It's up to you how you want to answer that. And I never do gotcha questions. It's not fair to guests to say that, hey, a gotcha question. People aren't prepared for that, and it doesn't come off very well. I don't think it's not a healthy way, but it is a way to respect people, honor them where they're at. And hey, maybe that's not their goal is to talk about that subject. Maybe they want to talk about something else because that's where they're at right now. And it's okay to say, hey, what's your call to action? What do you want to talk about? And I'm totally open for that. Let's get to that because we are just about at the end. I do want to say that I have put Karen's information in here. Go to her website. The links are all in there. It will also be in the show notes and the description. Your cats are here saying hello too. I keep catching them. It's so funny. I'm like, what's moving? Um, that's so funny. They're here to say hello. They love to be in the spotlight. But connect with Karen and learn more about the mental fitness edge because it does. Your brain's sharp, you're healthy, you feel good, you look good, and then you do good business, and people want that. People want to be there as well. It's very sharp. So any last definite takeaways? Because you're going to be on the summits in January, so people can see you on the stage. How great is that? And they can hear more about what you talk about and get your gifts and know that a portion of the proceeds for the event, if you do upgrade, not only do you get Karen's VIP gift, but you'll also get to support confronting domestic violence. So I want to leave you with the last words.
I thank you, Nicole, for being here, and I love you. I love supporting you and where this is all going to. Um, I have a comment on the fact that our energy is our energy. And if we allow somebody else out there influence that, we are making that choice in ourselves to be that victim or that controller or that pleaser or that avoider or whatever, the pleaser. And so I invite you to be aware of your energy in your body because this is all energy. If you are tapped with energy, then good. If not, just pay attention to the tension in your body. I know I held it in my shoulders and in my neck, and I ended up with headaches.
Mm.
And I don't do that anymore because that's a tension in my body. I was always tense because there's always a bomb that's going to drop or, whatever, because I'm just waiting for that next blow up. But I can choose. And that's what I did is I chose to leave. I chose to leave and just open it up to where am I going to go? What's going to happen? I had no idea, but it brought me to where I am today. And so when you choose to get step out of whatever turmoil or situation you're in that doesn't feel good in your body, it's okay. Because if you decide to stop that and just open up, when we step out of that sabotaging amygdala hijack and open up our sage, the universe is going, okay, I'm here for you. Let's do it. And that's what happened to me. Just one thing led to another, led to another. And how else would I have ever met Nicole if I didn't do everything I've done for me? What I do for me is now what I share with my clients and help them. I help empower them to be the best they are.
Oh, I love that. And it's empowering, and you're giving people the gift to lead from within.
Hmm.
And so they don't go without. And what a beautiful thing. that you are doing. And I'm going to sharing all this information. The event is From Devastated to Divine Alignment. And that is about clearing the chaos to and going into Confidence of Clarity Summit. So we look at with our stages, especially when we're looking at people talking about post-traumatic growth. What's the growth after the trauma, the post, the aftermath, leaving people with the tools and the ability not only to grow from within and to shine without, but you're going to build a community when you change your family and the world around you. That is how we change millions of lives. This is how we give back. These are the solutions that we have, but it's been very empowering when you get past and you're working out that post-traumatic growth and you're going into from victim to mentor to survivor. Excuse me, victim to survivor, because you don't want to get stuck in that trauma mode all the time. You see a lot of people there now. Let's get up to the mentor. And it's in the enlightenment of mentorship. When you can be successful, you can show people by doing and seeing and saying, and you lead the community, but you also lead from within. And it's when you're able to do that that you're also able to have a successful business and a solution to where we are and how we support other people and how we give back is by being financially well off, by being abundant beings, by being financially successful, whether that's just paying your bills or having extra in your bank account or being a millionaire, a billionaire. How can you give back? And this way you have again control of your money, control of your finances and your business and who you choose to support or who you choose not to support. So who are you praising by opening your wallet to and sharing that. So it's also business takeaways. And so are very engaging summits. Karen's going to share some great takeaways from that summit and you know how to train your mind like a champion. And this is the way that we are successful. And if we build champions and give people the tools, then we will have a successful outcome on this earth. And I really believe it. And thank you for being here, Karen,
Thank you,
on
Nicole.
the Pain Point podcast. I look forward to seeing you in January.
Yes, thank you so much, Nicole.
All right, guys. All right. Have a great day. We'll see you again next Tuesday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Join the